Okay.
On.
Hi.
First question. Where the hell did y'all two meet? Where did Fonda and Dana meet? Where does this story begin?
Well, you want to take that one, girl?
No, I want to hear your version.
Well, we met at a house off of Wooden Avenue, basically. We were dating. I was having an evening date, meaning a one-night date, and Dana was dating someone, and we met at the refrigerator, and the refrigerator was open, and the door shut, and she was there and looked at me and said, "Olives?" And I said, "Yes." And that's how we met.
That's a true story.
True story. She handed me olives, and we ate olives. I thought she lived there. I didn't know her.
You know, we were young kids. So we've basically known each other since 1984, I think. So 37 years ago is when that all took place. We started doing these shows, and people would go out and say, "Oh my God, you need to go to 22 Rubicon Street before you go out to 1470. They do these ridiculous shows." So we started doing these shows, and people started showing up, The next thing you knew, we would shut down Rubicon Street and do shows outside, inside, in our side yard. And it just got bigger and bigger and bigger. Kirsten Pickle, who's out there somewhere, one night was like, "You guys should be like a group." And I'm like, "Oh, we live on Rubicon, let's be the Rubicon Girls." And Kirsten was like, it needs to be the Ruby Girls, because that has a connotation that's more feminine and more sparkly and fun. And we all were like, "You're amazing." So we became the Ruby Girls, and then we started like this mock newsletter called the Ruby Newsday, which is a takeoff on, obviously Ruby Tuesday. And the Ruby Newsday was a way to let everybody know when we're gonna get together, when we're gonna have these parties, when we're gonna, show up, come on this night. And it just got enormous. The Ruby Girls kind of put themselves out there to the community, and we didn't think in a million years that anybody would really want us to be anything more than just stupid drag queens at 1470 or a celebrity. But what happened was we had the perfect intersection with the HIV crisis for somebody to come through, make people laugh. When you make people laugh, their wallets open and they donate. And we found that, oh my gosh, the Ruby Girls have got a real way to help people. So we started doing this thing called The Show Must Go On, which was started by all of the Dayton drag queens. But they called it To Care Is To Cure. It was big. It was called To Care Is To Cure back then. And slowly but surely, what happens in the drag community is people kind of go their own way. Some want to become like pageant queens, some want to just not do it anymore, blah, blah, blah. But the Ruby Girls made a commitment to keep this thing going every year. And the community of Dayton was kind of like, these guys are really making an impact. They're really doing something that makes a difference. So then we decided, well, we'll start raising money for LGBTQ issues, HIV issues, AIDS-related issues, so on and so forth. And we started to realize there were other nonprofits in the area that were like, we could really use your help. And we're like, are you kidding? So the next thing you know, we're doing shows for so many different nonprofits.
And part of it is that the community has been so good to us. The straight, gay, the whole community of Dayton has been so supportive of what we do. And HIV is not just a gay issue. It is an issue for everyone. So at one point we really realized that, and we had to open up and change the way we looked at things and the way we do things. Josh and I always knew that we wanted something a little more. We also have this really deep desire to do good for our community. We love our community. And we have always played off each other very well, extremely well. And people love that shit. So we had been looking for something. We talked about it for years. Drag has gotten very popular on television, and we had chatted, and I think Josh reached out to these two great people that we know, and we made something happen.
Yeah, and I think, where COVID was causing so many problems for so many people, it was our opportunity. Because we started thinking, okay, this is it, life is slowed down, now we can think about this and put this thing together. And we oddly just went and fell together. And I think, we're expanding it as we go, we're figuring it out. It's not what we thought it was gonna be at the beginning, and now we're like, okay, now we get this. And I think the thing that people love about FonDana is that they know us as people outside of doing the show, as Josh and Tim. And then when you put us in these wigs and dresses and stuff, they're like, oh my God, there's a chemistry there that's just really.
It's almost like
worthy.
there's 4 people on the show because people know us, but we present as 2, Dana and Fonda. But when people watch it, they know that there's Tim and Josh there too.
Right. Every drag group needs that bitchy, don't you mess with my girls. And like Brent always says, I'm the lioness of the group. Like, don't mess with my cubs or I'm gonna take you out. And so that's kind of what I did. I kind of rose into the controlling kind of, I'll take care of you. Dana kind of emerged as this caretaker. And that's kind of where I've been the whole time. Even to this day, they still call me Mother Ruby, like the Mother Superior, which I kind of appreciate. I think it's funny. So that's where she came from.
I think Fonda is a direct descendant of my actual personality. She just sort of evolved, and Fonda likes to have cocktails and likes to have fun, and I'm a little bit the one who is, what would be the word, more irreverent?
More what?
I do things that are a little more...
She's kind of crass, is a good word.
Dirty.
Wants to push the envelope.
A lot.
And, and I think that's kind of like her MO. People are so excited to see what she's going to do next.
Fonda is sort of like Auntie Mame without any formal or good discipline and a lot more cocktails. That's Fonda.
So I moved to Dayton in 14. I met them in like December of 14 because Taj Mahal I was working with at the time, and she was like, hey, we're having this pageant. You need to come be a part of the Ruby Girls. And I'm like, what the hell's a Ruby Girl? And I went home that Thanksgiving, so I couldn't see the first Show Must Go On, so I really had no clue as to what the Rubies were about. But I knew it was drag, which I'd never done. But yeah, we had a planning meeting, and I met Josh and Fonda that first planning meeting for Newbie Ruby. And that was that. When I walked in this clubhouse and saw, at that time, that whole wall was a wig wall. And I'm like, okay, these guys are crazy. Well, mini skirt is like a play on me being the tallest Ruby girl because mini, haha, right? And mini skirt is just, she's just a bigger version of me. I'm Southern. I always sound Southern on the microphone. I'm never gonna not sound Southern. And she's just one of those Southern belles sitting on the front porch sipping a mint julep. And with the FonDana show, I think it's just gonna show a whole broader audience what we're actually capable of doing. If your dreams don't scare you a little bit, you're not dreaming big enough. I know that's so cliche, but if you start this little thing like out of Dayton, Ohio, and it stays within like the little Ohio market that it starts in, and then it just grows and grows and grows, how epic would that be to say that I was part of something like that? And then to also just be asked by the 2 people who started this to be a part of it, like that's huge for me because they must trust me on some level to be a part of something that, well, I was gonna say isn't gonna embarrass you, but let's really be honest here. This whole thing is an embarrassment.
Ah!
But
Sorry. I just thought that was scary. I know we're supposed to be quiet, but that's funny. This whole thing is an embarrassment.
this whole thing is, I'm gluing my freaking eyebrows down.
Oh
Come
my
on.
God. You were watching the perfect blend of laughter and heartstrings being tugged. I think that is the ultimate kind of a show when you feel the fun and you also feel the underlying current of love. And I think that's kind of what the FonDana show says. What do you guys think?
It is about uplifting other non-for-profits. It's about giving back monetarily, but also spreading knowledge of other things that maybe viewers wouldn't necessarily be open to knowing. It's laughter, it's alcoholism. It's like having a good time. I mean, why does everything have to be so serious all the time? It doesn't. So, enjoyment, community, like I said, and giving back.
Mayhem with a purpose. It's all about having a good time, but we are very focused and driven in our mission. And it also, and a little deeper meaning, is it's a sort of a salute to us and our years of friendship and how we get along. And I think that comes through.